Good evening. It's Friday, March 13th. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It was bound to happen, and it has. Local school districts announcing today, due to COVID-19 concerns, they're closing starting Monday. And with that decision, a number of issues arise and questions. KPBS education reporter Joe Hong begins our coverage with some answers. Joe.
Maya, nearly all of the county school districts announced temporary school closures starting Monday, following the lead of San Diego Unified. San Diego Unified school officials elaborated on the district's plans at a press conference today, emphasizing that their plan is to reopen schools after spring break in early April.
By closing schools, we are contributing to the effort to reduce large gatherings, to contribute to social isolation. But again, our full intention is to bring our students back to school on schedule directly after spring break.
During the closure, families in need can go to 8 different school sites and pick up breakfast and lunch to take home. Superintendent Cindy Martin said the district would send students and families more information on Monday about how they can continue learning from home while schools are closed.
Front of mind for us as we're making our plans is to make sure that all students will have access to learning opportunities and not need to have a computer or an online resource, because that doesn't provide equity.
Keisha Borden, the president of the Teachers Union, said she was concerned about educators being able to teach online.
I feel like it cannot just be online learning because all of our families do not have access to computers or internet access. So I think in order for it to be equitable for all of our students across the district, we can't rely on online learning.
You can go to kpbs.org to see a full list of school districts that have closed. Joe Hong, KPBS News.
Thanks so much, Joe. And today, the County San Diego announced 8 more presumptive positive COVID-19 cases, and more are expected in the coming days. Hospitals are scrambling to prepare to test as many patients as they can. KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar takes a look at what they are doing.
This is the command center at Scripps Health. Here, workers are manning the phones to make sure that the hospitals and clinics in their medical system have the supplies and know the procedures to handle a potential influx of patients wanting the coronavirus vaccine. Today, Scripps launched a COVID-19 nurse line that connects patients to a team of nurses dedicated to screening people with symptoms associated with the coronavirus.
They can talk to a nurse, talk about their questions and concerns. The majority of that is what I'd call the wounded well, people that are concerned but don't really have any serious issues.
If a nurse decides they should be checked, they can come to a cabana outside Scripps Clinic at Torrey Pines, or to the Scripps Clinic in Rancho Bernardo and the Scripps Coastal Medical Center in Vista starting on Tuesday.
And then literally people will come out of the cabanas with a cart to the car, so it's a drive-up thing. And we can test and do a quick exam with them while they're still in their car.
Right now, Scripps has the capability of testing about 80 patients a day. They send those samples to an outside lab and can get results in 12 to 24 hours. Over at Sharp Memorial Hospital, a similar tent system has been set up to help screen patients who might need testing. At Sharp, all the samples are sent to the County Public Health Department for testing. Sharp says they're actually seeing a decrease in numbers of patients arriving to their emergency rooms.
Our numbers are a bit lower, so we really appreciate that the community is listening to the county recommendations to not come to the ER if they're just worried or if they even have just a contact with someone with viral symptoms.
They say the best thing to do if you think you have symptoms is to contact your primary care doctor, who can ask questions and determine if you need further screening. Priya Sridhar, KPBS News.
You can call the Scripps Health Nurse Line at the number on your screen, 888-261-8431. We will also have this information on our website, kpbs.org. Right now, the county lab is still doing the bulk of testing here in San Diego. Health officials say the virus will likely spread in the coming days and weeks, but there are simply not enough tests for everyone. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman explains.
The testing is reserved for those who need it most.
The county lab has around 1,200 coronavirus tests right now for a region with more than 3 million residents.
We will not be able to test everyone.
If cases explode, officials simply won't be able to meet the testing need.
Once we have community-wide spread, if people are stable, they have symptoms that are similar to a cold or a mild flu, we will ask them to stay at home until their symptoms are resolved.
Until then, there are 3 ways someone can get tested. First, if that person traveled to a high-risk area. The second, if that person had contact with a confirmed case. But the third category is more vague.
And that's if they patient presents with respiratory distress syndrome, but they do not have a history of travel. They do not have a history of contact with someone who's confirmed. And in many cases where those individuals have been tested, they have been positive.
So we're just going to swab the back of the throat?
States like Colorado have begun testing people right from their cars, and we could see that here soon.
A very similar drive-through capacity option here in San Diego.
And in-home options are also being considered.
Mobile capacity of testing to be in individuals' homes, rather than even having to leave their home.
Once a case is confirmed, a contact investigation begins where officials try to see who else may be infected.
Contact investigation is a lot of work.
And it's only a matter of time before county staff are overwhelmed, but officials have a plan for that.
We are looking at expanding or surging by bringing in contracted nurses as well as volunteers from some of our local healthcare systems.
Some tests are being distributed to local private labs and healthcare facilities, but a county spokesman says it's unclear how many they have. If you think you might have the virus, officials say first contact your healthcare provider. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Today, President Trump declared a national emergency to fight the coronavirus, and at midnight Eastern time, the partial ban on travelers coming into the U.S. from Europe goes into effect. Daryl Forges has the latest.
To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency.
President Trump laying out his strategy to slow the spread of the novel coronavirus.
The action I am taking will open up access to up to $50 billion.
And at the state level, officials across the country taking steps to protect their citizens. In Louisiana, the presidential primary now being delayed.
The threat we face from the COVID-19 virus is an unprecedented threat and unlike any we have faced.
In New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo opened a drive-through testing facility in New Rochelle, a suburb of New York City, hard hit by the virus.
The number one thing we have to do in this country and in this state to slow the spread is testing.
Colorado, Texas, and Washington among the states also working to increase the capacity of drive-through testing facilities.
Texas is taking additional action to mitigate the spread of the virus and to protect the public's health and safety.
Meanwhile, the partial travel ban for people traveling to the U.S. from Europe goes into effect tonight at midnight, further restricting movement to and from the United States. Daryl Forges, KPBS News.
And an update now on the cruise ship passengers quarantined at MCAS Miramar. Base officials say around 480 travelers who were on the Grand Princess cruise ship arrived on flights this week for a 14-day quarantine. No additional flights are expected at this time. We are told a Miramar-based Marine tested positive for COVID-19 after he returned from leave in Washington state. His illness is not related to the evacuees at the base. And thousands of students rely on the now closed schools for breakfast and lunch. KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler tells us what their options are now.
Around 50% of students in the county are eligible for free or reduced price lunch. San Diego Unified School District, the largest district in the county, just announced they will close all their schools, and they have around 60,000 students who rely on free or reduced price lunch. At a press conference on Friday afternoon, Gary Patel, Director of Food and Nutrition Services for San Diego Unified, announced that the district will be opening 8 sites at schools around the city on Monday. The sites will distribute brown bag lunches and breakfast for the duration of the shutdown.
You could drive through as a parent with your children. Children should be present 18 years and under to receive a meal. No questions asked. You'll receive a meal, and we're actually asking people to take it home and enjoy your meal at home.
The district is prepared to distribute 1,600 meals on Monday at the 8 sites and will be making adjustments to the numbers of meals and sites daily. The sites will be open from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The San Diego Food Bank and Feeding San Diego will also be serving those impacted by the shutdown across the county, and they expect to be able to provide food for anyone unable to make it to the district's distribution sites.
I also want to let you know that there'll be some great meals for your children. We'll be doing some chicken Caesar salads, garden salads, hummus, which for vegetarians as well. So we urge people to come out and take your food home with you.
San Ysidro School District has over 60% of its students receive free or reduced price lunch, the highest in the county. It has yet to announce a plan to provide food for its students as of Friday afternoon, but says it will provide updates to its students by Monday. Max Rivlin-Adler, KPBS News.
Universities and community colleges are making changes in light of the coronavirus. As of today, San Diego State University has moved to virtual instruction. UC San Diego will move to all online courses starting in the spring quarter. University of San Diego begins remote teaching starting March 23rd and is canceling classes March 14th through the 22nd. Southwestern College is moving to online-only courses March 16th through the 20th. Palomar College is doing the same on March 30th after spring break. And Grossmont and Cuyamaca colleges are closed March 16th through the 20th with online classes until March 30th. San Diego's religious communities are restricting large gatherings of people, and that includes religious ceremonies. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson says spiritual leaders are reacting to the growing concern over the coronavirus situation.
The Catholic Diocese is moving to protect public health by limiting large crowds at its churches.
We follow the science here, and so when it comes to, the science and the spiritual, we want to be guided by the best public health guidelines. And right now, what we've been guided by and what people are pointing us toward is that we're going to be giving dispensation and not requiring people to attend Mass effective this weekend.
Eckery says that a limitation will remain in place for the foreseeable future. He also says churches will extend their operating hours so those who need spiritual guidance can get it. At the Islamic Center of San Diego, the school inside the facility closes Monday, and Iman Taha Hassani says staff will be available for spiritual counseling. There will just be no large gatherings.
The safety and the well-being of people is our top priority. Even though we believe that it's very important for Muslims to come to the mosque, join the rituals, the prayers, but at times like this, the safety and well-being is our top priority.
Prayer services will be broadcast on YouTube. The 44 Church Episcopalian Diocese of San Diego is also heeding the call to limit large public gatherings and canceling Sunday services. Bishop Susan Brown Snook called the decision heartbreaking and one that was not made lightly.
Worship is at the heart of our identity as Episcopalians and as Christians. I believe that our worship and our prayer are more than just things that support us in our daily lives. I believe that they are effective in our prayers for the world and our love for our communities.
She's asking Episcopalians to continue to worship and pray at home and in small groups. The San Diego Jewish Federation is asking for some perspective. A Facebook page post on Friday afternoon says, quote, amid all the fears, quarantines, and stockpiling of food, it's important to remember that more than 60,000 people have recovered from COVID-19. The Federation is working to understand the dynamic needs of the community in an effort to help where they can. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
For days now, people have been stocking up on household staples over coronavirus fears. That's leading to empty shelves at stores across the country. This video is from earlier today at the Trader Joe's grocery store on SDSU's campus. They were nearly sold out of bread, meat, dairy, and frozen items. Other stores like Costco have seen long lines just to get inside. And things are changing very quickly, and we're following it all for you at kpbs.org. You just click on the Tracking COVID-19 link on our homepage and you'll be taken to a page with the latest school closures, event cancellations, and all of our recent reports. You can find that right now at kpbs.org.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, President Trump declares a national emergency as COVID-19 pandemic disrupts American life. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Keep those umbrellas handy. You're going to need them. Steady rain like this downpour in Poway today going to be the norm the next few days. Might also be smart to keep or get those sandbags ready just in case of flooding. So just how much rain will we get and how long will these storms last? Let's turn to meteorologist Lauren Rainson for the answers.
Good evening and TGIF to you. Our weather headlines featuring those showers diminishing as this upper level low is finally making a push eastward. And don't get me wrong, this is certainly very much needed rainfall. Round 2 is right around the corner, just in time for the weekend, which we will get to that next system here in just a bit. We're going to have a downright difficult time ultimately clearing back out again, even though this upper low continues to make that push eastward and just on about out of our hair. But as we're heading through the rest of the evening, some of those lingering showers will be left over. I'm not talking a complete washout here, but light showers will greet us throughout the rest of the evening and overnight. For your Friday night plans, don't forget the umbrella and that rain jacket. Let's time this out for you in the Futurecast. This is what the radar could possibly look like to get us into the weekend. There will be some of those spotty hit or miss light showers for that Saturday morning commute. Again, I'm not talking about total washout or anything. We'll stay mainly dry. They're going to be far more dry than wet periods prevailing. But you'll also notice we are keeping those clouds in check. A very hard time ultimately clearing out. You will see some of those bigger breaks in the clouds later in the day on Saturday. Ramona topping out near 62. We're going to be watching that next upper level low and associated cold front sink its way southward out of the northwest. Currently impacting the northwest, but we're going to be next up in line between Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Next rounds of showers and high elevation snowfall. Sierra Nevadas, we're going to be talking about several feet of snow into early next week. Your extended outlook along the coast there, a lot of sunshine, a lot more later in the day Saturday. Showers will press back in on Sunday. We'll dry and clear out again Monday with highs in the lower to the middle 60s. Further inland, we're going to keep our weekend forecast dry. Carbon copy conditions into Monday. Our next round of showers will arrive Tuesday to Wednesday. It will be certainly cooler by next Tuesday to Wednesday with temperatures in the 50s. Into the mountains, we are also remaining dry over these next few days. Showers will return on Tuesday, lasting into Wednesday. Tuesday, that's going to be downright cold with temperatures in the 30s and overnight lows in the middle 20s. Into the desert, where sunshine will prevail, highs in the lower 70s now through Monday. Will be considerably cooler and much wetter by next Tuesday to Wednesday. Reporting for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Lauren Rainson. Back to you.
Another massive day of trading on Wall Street as the market makes up some of its losses. The Dow gained nearly 2,000 points thanks to a late surge this afternoon. Still, the index lost about 10% this week as it entered a bear market. Other indexes also made gains today after deep losses this week. SeaWorld is joining the list of companies closing its theme parks. The closure will begin Monday and last through the end of the month. Animal caretakers will continue to work, and the company will continue to pay its full-time staff. This is one of the many ways San Diego's economy is being affected. Earlier, I talked about that and more with SDSU's Miro Kopik for the Friday Business Report. Miro, welcome. The coronavirus. It's affecting almost all industries now, and in terms of San Diego, travel and tourism is critical to the health of our economy on a local level. What's the short-term outlook that you can comment on in terms of cancellations and drops in travel?
You know, we could tell by the announcement recently from the Port Authority, which really manages the 34 miles of coastline between Imperial Beach and North San Diego County and Coronado. So the convention center, hotels, they have a pulse on what's happening. Cargo ships, the whole 9 yards. What we're finding is that, you know, companies and organizations are canceling conventions. This week, the experimental biology conference was canceled. The American Association of Cancer Research conference in April is being postponed. Those two conferences alone will account for 66,000 hotel nights in the city of San Diego that somehow we have to fill in another way. To let you understand, there's an impact on the city of San Diego, for example, in terms of just sales tax revenue. The sales tax revenue for those two conventions alone is $1.75 million. You know, the hourly workers that are in the hotel industry, that are in restaurants, that are also collateral to this whole process are going to be severely impacted, because without that kind of demand, there's not going to be the need for those workers, and they don't have anywhere else to go because they don't have any other options.
And then on a national level, today the Trump administration has declared a national emergency because of the coronavirus. Now, in terms of our economy and the markets, what is the likelihood that we can see any stability or even recovery anytime soon?
What are we going to see in the short term? Number one, you might see spikes in unemployment. So even though we're at historical low levels of 3.5%, you might see a few tenths of a percent up, which would be shocking, since it's been so low for the last year and a half, or longer. You might see, certainly declines in the GDP rate going forward. I think with greater certainty as today, if there's a stimulus bill like last week's bill of $8.3 billion that'll cascade through the economy, anything that can help workers, anything that can help businesses kind of maintain their equilibrium over the next 30 to 45 days will be seen positively by the markets, and we're going to kind of be in a wait and see basis.
Great, thank you so much. Great information. Miro Kopik from SDSU and Bottom Line Marketing.
Thanks, Maya.
San Diego has few cases of the coronavirus right now, but we take a look at how our daily lives have changed as we search for ways to mitigate and protect ourselves against COVID-19. That's on the Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
Over 130,000 people have contracted the novel coronavirus. The death toll around 5,000 is causing panic for some, but others are unfazed. KPBS science and technology reporter Shalina Chatlani talked to two UC San Diego social scientists about the mixed reaction to the virus.
On a rainy day on the UC San Diego campus, I caught up with medical anthropologist Bonnie Kaiser and mass communication expert Dan Hallen. Hallen says misinformation on the coronavirus has been similar to past epidemics, theories of bioweapons, the virus being created in a lab, among others. Most people, he says, have been looking to the Centers for Disease Control and other mainstream media. But this time, there's a political force driving information.
To the extent that there is misinformation circulating, the main driver of it, I would say, is cable television, right? And one important thing that's going on right now is a kind of a debate within conservative media, right? So you have one set of arguments in conservative media that this virus is being way overhyped.
Here's Trump on February 28th at a rally in South Carolina.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus.
And it was only just hours ago today that Trump declared coronavirus a national emergency.
To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency.
Bonnie, you study human behavior. How do you feel about this type of messaging?
So a lot of the messaging is around trying to convince people that they should be concerned and they should be acting now. We tend to think as biomedical or epidemiological scientists that we can just kind of give health information. We can give facts and that will be enough to convince people. And anthropology research has really shown that that's not the case.
Dan, you actually wrote a book that, and one part of it looked into the response to the swine flu outbreak. Do you feel like this type of biomedical messaging was involved then, or are we seeing kind of a repeat of the same type of communication with the coronavirus?
So in the case of the swine flu, I would say that the public health officials, it was very successful. It's going to be harder this time around, partly because the task is so much more difficult. We are in a situation now where we have a president who is suspicious of science and scientists and who also likes to have the spotlight, right? And as we all know, there have been lots of occasions when there have been differences, right, between what President Trump has been saying and the officials have been saying. So it's been interesting to watch Fauci, sometimes there in the same room with Trump, very carefully trying to correct him, right, and say, okay, it's not going to be 2 months for the vaccine to be ready. It's going to be 12 to 18 months.
This week, Anthony Fauci with the National Institutes of Health said the U.S. response to the coronavirus needs to be much more urgent.
We've got to change our behavior. We have to essentially assume that we are going to get hit. And that's why we talk about making mitigation and containment in a much more vigorous way. People ask, why would you want to make any mitigation? We don't have any cases. That's when you do it.
Practically speaking, are we past a point of being able to change the messaging?
Officials send out their messages, but people also react to what they see They see empty store shelves, right? They see images on local TV, and even though they're being told you shouldn't go out and hoard, I think there's a kind of natural reaction to be very individualistic.
You know, in thinking about kind of how do we make sure that behavior change is happening or that social distancing is happening, one of the things we know is it's really problematic to kind of leave it up to individuals to make those decisions. So how do we create incentives so that people are making the right decisions? And obviously part of it is going to come from leaders, whether it's of businesses or government leaders.
With people interacting with social media and with communication and watching TV, you know, what are they supposed to be doing to be able to weave through this information?
People, it's kind of like a cliche these days to say people that you don't trust the media and so on, but actually the information that you get about this kind of thing from the mainstream media is pretty good information.
Thank you so much for chatting with me and sharing your expertise.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And here's a recap of the angles we're following with the coronavirus outbreak. Local school districts have announced plans to close. The largest, San Diego Unified, will close for 3 weeks starting on Monday. They plan to reopen April 6th, but that could change. The length of school closures will vary by district. You can go to kpbs.org to see a full list. Today, the county confirmed 8 more presumptive positive COVID-19 cases. The county lab has around 1,200 coronavirus tests right now. The priority are people who have traveled to a high-risk area or had contact with a confirmed case. Tests are being distributed to local private labs and healthcare facilities, but it's unclear how many they have. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. I'm Maya Trabulsi. From all of us at KPBS, stay safe, stay informed. Good night.